All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 337 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. Today, we've got Daniel Wees back with us, able to stay up late. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the sun's
Good to
out.
be back.
The sun's out and it's beautiful there, right?
Yeah, we don't get a lot of sun these days. Well, it actually turned around. So last night was the darkest day of the year. So now the sun is coming up a bit earlier, but it takes until February until we see it after work.
And we just had the solstice, so the longest, or the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year, which is, of course, my favorite day of the year, because darkness envelops me.
Yeah, but not for like 3 or 4 months.
No, I think darkness for 3 or 4 months is a little bit excessive, but
yeah,
there you are.
You know, November, December, January, actually 3 months, so they're terrible.
Yeah, when it's foggy for a few weeks, people get grumpy around here, so I don't think they do so well with the darkness. And also joining us, Ken, good to see you, Voice of Reasons. 69th Blizzard on the board. We're going to have a little bit of a lighthearted episode today. We do have a topic, and it's Daniel's suggestion, which we'll get into shortly. But just wanted to cover some of the recent news. So why don't we start off? Obviously, it was Peter Criss's birthday on the 20th. Gigi Criss put together a wonderful video, stretched over an hour, of people from the industry, people who, Peter's bumped into or, formed friendships with at signing events and whatnot, some fans who he's worked with, and Gene, Paul, and Ace at the end, which was really cool. That exceeded my expectations about how fun it was. I pressed play. I thought I'd skip through it, go find myself, smile, giggle, and, go to the end and see Gene, Paul, and Ace. But I watched the whole thing through. I thought it was really touching. Some of them are like me on camera doing a selfie. I'm not good at this. The former Mrs. Stanley was kind of funny. But there were a lot of love for Peter, which was really cool. Did either of you check it out, and what were your thoughts on it? Daniel?
I ran through it, looked until I saw some interesting people. I saw, among others, Julian Gill making a greeting. And it was kind of heartfelt, At one point in time, I thought you were going to cry almost. It seemed like it came from the heart. So, and that's the way it should be. And I felt that it was an homage to Peter, the whole video. And some of the greetings were quite fun, but most of them were from the heart. So I'm sure Peter appreciated that video.
Yeah, it was really fun, actually. Just a little bit of context for mine. I helped a couple of others do theirs videos by doing it on Skype and just recording remote for theirs and owning my side for mine. So we did about 5 takes or something for one of them and just kept, it was breaking down into uproarious laughter. And at the end of doing these other 3 messages, I just come in. I hadn't thought about what I was going to say and just did that straight off the hook. And, at the end of it, I kind of blumble off into nothingness. And they did a really nice edit for me there, which is cool. But those 2 events really, really have impacted me. So it was from the heart. Ken, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was nice to see everybody wishing Peter a happy birthday. I mean, 75 is a definite milestone these days, especially with everything going on. Plus, with we see a lot of rock and rollers not making it to that age. So he's lived the life. He's lived the whole experience, the rock and roll experience, and he's come through, including the cancer survivor, so which is something else in itself. So I thought it was great. I was watching it. I was like, man, how long is this thing? I was watching it. I had to pause it, and then I came back later and then finished it off. But I saw the whole thing, and I was quite surprised that the former Kiss member, his former bandmates, gave a nice little, happy birthday to him, which is cool. I was quite surprised actually that they all did it, especially Paul. I was more surprised by him than anybody else.
I'm so glad that they did. I'm actually proud of the three of them for
I
doing
thought
it
that's great.
because I know things are not always easy between, former bandmates, and for them to all be classy and there were no negative undertones. I didn't think. I thought they were all,
Yeah,
just good, positive, from the gut messages to Peter. What more can you ask for?
yeah.
You know. All right, more, I guess, Peter Criss news is Peter Criss music. And
Oh
Richie
yes.
Scarlett featuring Peter Criss, the Catman, and the Emperor dropped this week. And I originally was posting the wrong link because I was posting the link to the Emperor's package, which comes with 3 7-inch singles, one green, one purple, and one split green purple. Richie's Essential CD and the CD single for the new song as well. So that does have a premium price tag attached to it. But if you do go to prudentialmusicgroup.com, and you'll have to find it, they do have just the vinyl, just the CDs, and, Richie's Essential CD is his covers album. But have both of you had the chance to listen to that song? And if so, what did you think of it? Daniel, let's start with you again.
I don't know. When was that song recorded? Quite recently, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was a good song. A bit cheesy at times, to be honest. The lyrics and so on, but it was quite fun at this point in time. I mean, it's a fun song, and I didn't have high expectations, but it was a decent song, and Peter pulled it off. He didn't play anything flashy, but it sounded, all right.
Good, solid, traditional Peter Criss
Yeah.
drumming, really. I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
it's
Yeah.
basic, but it's solid. Nice little nuances. I like the little cowbell section, and then the snare section, and then whatever the other drum's called section. And it is cheesy. They're name dropping an awful lot of fun stuff, so it's like a song full of Easter eggs. I mean, it's not as cheesy as that Megadeth song that they did with lyrics from all of their songs through history. But 100,000 years is mentioned. Richie sings some more of a Too Fast to Live and Too Young to Die. Pardon me.
Right.
And, talking about Johnny Thunders and the Metropole and the New York Doll.
It's not that uncommon. I remember Rob Halford when he came back with Resurrection. He had a similar song, and he referenced Jimi Hendrix and I Walked Alone into a Fight. That was his band as well. So it's not unusual, but I've heard it done a bit better, to be honest. But it all depends on what the purpose is. I think they just did this to have some fun and to reference their lives and that kind of stuff. And when you look at it like that, it totally works.
Yeah. And it was fun. I was, it was cheesy. The riffs like something the Beastie Boys would have done.
Yeah.
Fight for Your Right. Very similar to that, but some good guitar work by Richie as well. So just enjoy. Come on Kiss level of music, it's right up there. So Ken, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, yeah, it's like Daniel said, it's a little cheesy, but it's just having fun, and I think it's a major kind of thing to get Peter Criss on anything these days. So you sound fine, steady beat, good old steady Peter Criss. Nothing flashy or anything like that. Just doing what needs to be done for the song. So I think it was cool. I haven't purchased it or ordered one yet, but I think I will order the 7-inch vinyl, one of the colored ones.
And of course, the song's up on YouTube, and I think it's on digital platforms now for those who don't want all the accoutrements that come with these various packages that are available, so you can go listen to it for free and criticize it or like it or whatever. So, that's kind of the fun part of it these days. Other news? Well, today, Leslie West died.
We died. I thought
he did pass away this afternoon. I think he was 75.
I know, sick. Yeah.
And obviously with Peter just having his 75th, my father just had his a few months ago. And Leslie West is, of course, an important figure in the foundations of Kiss. Gene Simmons, pre-Kiss bands, played a lot of Mountain. Mountain comes in as a reference point to early Kiss material as well. And, that's just obviously this year just keeps on taking. But it also keeps on giving, because I did see a post on Kiss My Wax this afternoon of an artist touching up Kiss Killer's cover. So it looks like that might be something coming down the pipeline, which would be really interesting, depending on what it is, because some of us did just buy a new CD of it from Japan.
That's right.
So hopefully it is something in the vinyl world that isn't identical to what was in the Kisteria box set, or shame on you. All right, that's it we have for news in Kiss world. We probably missed a whole bunch of stuff, but that's perfectly fine.
We need to talk a little bit about the KISSmas Masquerade.
Shame on me after having Neil and Jeremy on to talk about that. And I got my ticket. I was doped up on propofol last Friday, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to watch it or how it's going to be after anesthesia. But I tuned in, here and there. I wasn't able just to sit there and watch it. And for $12 for the weekend, oh my goodness, that was extremely good value. They had some technical issues. And I'm not even upset or disappointed, because they're breaking new ground, as they say, about the way to do these sorts of events, or as a value add-on that maybe can be utilized in the future for other events. So did either of you catch parts of the Masquerade? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I bought the ticket. And to me, this is something that I've been longing for, because you see all these great events taking place in North America, everything from conventions to concerts and cruises and stuff. But it's very difficult for us guys on the other side of the pond to get there. So this was groundbreaking, and I'm hoping to see more of this, because and for $12, I mean, it's almost for free. So I watched it. Watched it, and there were some real high notes. For example, the Talisman played the complete Rock and Roll Over album. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the final 2 or 3 songs, because something happened there, something technical. But until then, it was just great. But the biggest event for me was, of course, the Unplugged section with Bruce Kulick and what's his name, the Slash's
Todd
bassist.
Kearns.
Yeah. It completely took me back to '95 when I watched the Unplugged show, and they sounded great. And it's so awesome to hear those 80s songs done by those two. He sings his butt off. He totally nailed. I think it was Tears Are Falling and Who Wants to Be Lonely, and that was quite well. He actually did well on the cruise as well, but this was, you had better sound than watching those cruises on YouTube. Crisp sound, great vocals, great guitar playing, and it was just, I was in awe when I watched that one. So I actually watched it twice, because I thought it was so good. And there was other stuff as well that was interesting. Jean Beauvoir did a couple of songs with the Talisman, All Night, and Who Wants to Be Lonely, and I think he did I Love It Loud as well.
And Detroit Rock City, and a Crown of Thorns song.
Yeah. I skipped that one, but the Kiss stuff was great, and well, he's getting up there in age as well, so he can't really, the voice goes. He can't really sing it that well, but the Bruce Kulick performance with Todd was just spectacular. I hope they do something with that, and yeah. So, and there were other stuff, what's his name? Derringer, he who played the Exciter solo. Yeah, he tried that one as well live. So they played Exciter, the Talisman, and Derringer. Well, it was a bit rough, but it was cool to see. And I thought they filmed it quite well also, so it looked good. Yeah, I don't know what's your impression,
on the multi-camera side, they did a fantastic job of making it interesting and entertaining, not just sticking with one angle, actually doing it intelligently. So they impressed me by that. Derringer, I thought was fun. Exciter was a wreck. Complete wreck, but come on, it was fun, and I'm glad that they gave it a shot. I enjoyed Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo a lot more, but I saw Derringer way back when, in the clubs in the 90s. My friend's band opened for him in a little dive near Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, PA. So it was fun for that, and I've been listening to a lot of Derringer recently, the mid-'70s albums that he did when he was touring a lot with Aerosmith. So, Ken, what did you manage to grab, and what's the word of wisdom on it?
Well, I grabbed nothing. I didn't see anything. I've been pretty busy as of late, so I didn't even get a chance to purchase anything or check it out. It's just been not a lot of time for me. So unfortunately, otherwise I would have. I could have sat around and watched it all day or a couple of days. It would have been great. But it's kind of been hectic lately. So, but I've been hearing the reports from people who did, like yourselves, and everyone's saying it's pretty darn good. Everything was very entertaining, and yeah, I would have liked to hear the whole Rock and Roll Over album, and
so would everyone else
Bruce
who bought the stream.
Well, yes, Bruce and Todd Kearns, and the whole bit would have been interesting. So I don't know if they'll put something out later on as part of this. If they can compilate and make a compilation, put it on a DVD, I'd buy it, so I could have it and check it out.
On a final note, I just have to add, Rock and Roll Over, my least favorite song is probably Baby Driver, but this version that the band did was about the best version I've heard of Baby Driver. That guy who looks like Weird Al Yankovic in the band, I'm not sure what he's called, the one with the glasses. Yeah, he sang it, and he sang it so well. It totally kicked ass. And another fun thing was during Bruce's unplugged performance, he told a story about his wife when she was so happy that they were going to play A World Without Heroes, because the solo on A World Without Heroes was her favorite solo of all time. And as we all know, it was Paul who played that solo. I thought that was quite fun.
And of course, in the Bruce and Todd segment, the wonderful Lisa also contributed. So, just fun again. All right. Well, Daniel, you recommended today's topic. And I think you might as well explain why we're ranking this album.
Well, we've often referenced Animalize when we talk other albums, but I don't think we've ever made a complete run through the album. So I thought it was about time, and for me, this was one of my first albums. So it always has a special place in my history, and it'll be interesting to discuss this because I know that Ken is a hardcore Gene fan, and it'll be interesting to hear his take on the songs on this album and how maybe he can explain one or two of them to me, because even as a young kid, I had a hard time following his train of thought in some of the lyrics, and I look through them today, and I still have a hard time following. But we know Kiss, they aren't the greatest lyricists in history, but at times it's even bad for Kiss, and I think there'll be some explaining to do on some of these songs in order for me to understand what the hell he's singing about. But there are some good stuff on this album as well, and we'll see how it goes. So I guess we'll rank it as we usually do, and maybe add it up at the end or something, and see how it all ends up.
We will go from least popular to
Yeah.
most popular on the ranking. But first, recap for anyone who's new to listening to this show when you're on, about your first introduction to Kiss's Animalize and where it fits into your history.
Well, for me it was, it all started with hearing Heaven's on Fire and seeing the Tears Are Falling video. So I guess it started in '85, and then I begged my mother to get me some Kiss albums. So I got Animalize and the current one, which was Asylum. So that was my start. So those were the two first. Well, I got cassettes at that time, but they were my two first albums, so to speak. And I just listened to Animalize, especially the two first songs, over and over again. I just love those two. So to this day, I guess some of those songs from Animalize are, I'd say, in my top 10 Kiss songs of all time.
Yeah, and it's going to be the same for me because they're tattooed up here.
Yeah.
Sonic tattoos. Of course, this is my KISSmas today. 35 years ago today, I bought my very first Kiss album. Went down to Kmart, and with my birthday money from Vestal Plaza, purchased this album and Motley Crue's Theater of Pain. This is actually the one for me. And then I think the following week, with money from Christmas, I went out and got another Kiss album. So I got Animalize very early on. Again, it's impossible to separate out because of not being a fan linearly of when I filled in the back catalog. But because it was a recent release, it was probably down there. And it just feels like, because we saw Heaven's on Fire a lot on MTV at the time, along with the videos from Asylum, that it was added to the collection pretty soon. So it's been with me. And it was really, to this day, remains a contrast in two albums. Because they're very similar, but they're also vastly different in terms of the quality of Gene's songs. And when you have a shift in balance that markedly between two albums, I enjoy Asylum front to back, Gene and Paul. Gene slightly less, obviously, than Paul. But Animalize, I had the biggest problem with Gene's material on this album for many, many years, until I let go of my hang-ups. So, again, like you, it's a part of my sonic musical DNA. It's tattooed firmly in my brain. Bad lyrics and all, it's still an important part of my personal history. Ken?
Yeah, obviously I was already a fan, and I was just, always waiting for the next album. Every year there'd be a new album coming out. So, yeah, I'm sure I heard Heaven's on Fire. I don't know if I saw the video first, but I'm pretty sure I heard it on the radio first. And then I went down and I actually bought the single first. I bought Heaven's on Fire, and it was the import, because we had a good store record. It had the fireball kind of cover.
Tennis ball.
Looks like a tennis ball, right, flying on fire. Kind of like the what they do for the U.S. Open tennis, but yeah, that's what I got at that store, because they had a lot of imports, and I bought that, and then I just waited for the album, another whatever week or two, and I bought that. So yeah, it was just part of the the ritual of trying to getting the next Kiss album, getting on the day it comes out, and looking forward to putting it on right away and spinning all the music. And I liked it. When I first heard it, I thought it was, all pretty good. Yeah, I knew there were some weaker songs on there, but, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but you're a linear fan. You were there for Creatures. You were there for Elder and Creatures and Lick It Up and then Animalize. So as someone who had enjoyed, Lick It Up, and you were seeing the band live during this era,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know, how did you take to the music? What did you think it was a growth, a continuation, and particularly the musical guitarist? I mean, it was a different year, different guitarist for Kiss at this point.
Yeah, I was kind of, I was sorry to hear, Vinny was let go, or he left, whatever it was. Um, I could tell the sound was different. I was like, who is this new guy? And then I was like, okay, here, and now we got have another guy and see what he does. And he was okay. It was like very whirlwind, guitar solos, just kind of craziness. But it was a sign of the times where a lot of bands were doing that during that time. So as a progression, I don't think it was to me, I didn't think it was a progression, more than just a little difference to try to fit in with the sound that was starting to come out. A lot of the heavy metal, British invasion kind of stuff, just in the recording style and sound.
Right, well, why don't we get started with our ranking here? And as always, we each do a ranking, we do some funny math, me, and we come up with a ranking
Funny
from
math.
least favorite to most favorite for the songs on the album. A maximum score on a 9-song album is going to be 9 times 3, 27 points. So did anything get near that? All right. Starting in 9th place, our least favorite song on this album with a grand total of 7 points, While the City Sleeps. Daniel, why don't you get us started on that one?
Well, Gene, when preparing for this album, I guess he watched a lot of film noir, because he prepared for his film roles in like Runaway and stuff like that. And it kind of shows, I think, on the album, because if you look at the titles, for example, While the City Sleeps, that's a movie title. And the same goes for a couple of the others, or at least they're similar to a few movie titles. So I think, and also from what I can tell, this song is about like a dark and dangerous city. Much like cities can be portrayed in film noir. So I think it was heavily influenced by his film watching on this album. And but I have a hard time following the story on this song. I'm not a guy who goes for great lyrics. I go for, but sometimes they're so odd that it perplexes me, and I have a hard time focusing on the music. It's not the worst on this album to me. I had it in 7th place, but he's trying to paint a picture of a dangerous city, and but it kind of, on the one hand it says you should like burn your bridges, and on the other hand it says living well is the best revenge. I mean, it doesn't add up to me, so and that kind of ruins it a bit for me. But as a song, I know it's not that good. Nothing really happens, and I think the chorus doesn't, stay with you, and so it's towards the bottom of the album for me.
Ken, it was at the bottom for you.
It was at the bottom for me, Daniel.
Oh,
believe it or
okay.
not, a Gene Simmons song I put on the bottom. No, yeah, I mean, come on, this is not one of his, better songs, music-wise or lyrically. I mean, it has some good riffs in it and stuff like that, but there's really no chorus. I mean, it's like he couldn't figure out what to, put some more words in there to fill it in. After he says "While the City Sleeps," you're kind of waiting for something else to happen, but nothing really happens. So it's the song doesn't make a whole lot of sense lyrically, but even musically, it's not the greatest thing. I'm sure he must have had something better than this, but he probably just phoned in a couple of those songs, sent Paul a tape of, and this is what Paul chose probably out of the however many there were. Usually there's like 30 to 50 songs that he submits for an album, but yeah, I'm surprised this made the cut.
Yeah, so I have a theory about this song. Gene used to love writing down little phrases or little lyrical ideas down on Post-its. So I think he put them all in a cookie jar. One day a cat came over and ate a bunch of them and threw them up on the floor, and he unrolled that, and this is the song. Because it really is all of those little lyrical or sentences or just little ideas. Burn your bridges, go for the throat. Living well is the best revenge. What goes on behind. I mean, it's just one after another. It's an assemblage of all
one-liners.
Of rhyming one-liners with a horrendous chorus that doesn't live up to what is a really cool song title. That's a great song title.
Yeah.
And it's not a great song. And musically, it's meh. So some of the other Gene songs on here have really strong music tracks. This one is just kind of meandering. It's lazy. The whole thing is lazy. So I actually ranked it the same as you, Daniel. Exactly. So that explains why it ranks so low. So let's not waste any more time on that bottom feeder. Let's move on to, it's positively Shakespeare. We have a tie. And on 9 points, Gene continues his run at the bottom with Lonely as the Hunter and Murder in High Heels.
You guys are cruel.
Yeah, secretly cruel, Daniel. Why do you start on? Why do you talk about both of those?
Who do you want to start?
You.
Okay. Lonely as the Hunter. Well, I actually tried writing an Animalize Gene song. It wasn't that hard. I just went to English Idioms Dictionary. You can do it yourself. It's called, the address is theidioms.com. And then you just put in some cool words, hell. And then you get a few cool idioms about that. And then you put in like fire. And then you get a few cool idioms. And that's actually what the lyrics in Lonely as the Hunter is. I mean, just the first verse is like, put your eggs in one basket. She threw me a bone. I was dealt a full deck. That's all idioms, guys. And he found them somewhere and just put them together. So this is another one of his worst lyrics ever to me. On the other hand, I guess he had an idea. Once again, I think he got it from all the film noir he was watching, because this is clearly about a femme fatale. I'm not sure how you say it in English. It's a French expression, the dangerous broad in those early film noir. And this is about a femme fatale, but once again, he messes it up, so it makes no sense. But when he started, I'm sure he thought he had a good idea. One problem with almost every Gene song on this album, to me, is also Eric Carr, actually. Because if you listen to some of the Paul Stanley songs, it seems like he's on fire. He's playing his heart out. But most of the Gene Simmons songs, he only keep, the simplest beat almost throughout the song. And on this song, the drums almost sounds like a drum machine, except for the bridge and the ending. And it's way too long. It's 4.5 minutes, and it's very repetitive. So it's almost the same riff throughout the song. So it's not that good, but I don't think it's as bad as Murder in High Heels. So I actually had this one in number 6. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had Murder in High Heels as your least favorite, and that was tied with it. So give us your thoughts on that one as well.
Yeah, and once he reused the idea about the femme fatale in this one, because this is also about a dangerous broad, ain't it? Murder in High Heels. And there's a movie called Death in High Heels, a film noir movie. So I guess he watched that one and just change the word maybe. At least that's my theory. And the problem with this one, the main problem to me, is that there's a riff going through the whole song, and it's an awful riff.
That's a good riff.
No,
It's a great riff.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Oh yeah.
It's no Cold Gin riff or Parasite. This is
Cool.
complete garbage. But we all can think differently. But to me, this is not a riff that I start grabbing my guitar and start playing that one. No way near. So the riff is probably the worst on the album, and it goes all through the song and completely destroy every chance of this being something above 1 star. So one of his worst ever, I'd say.
Wow.
Now over to Ken.
Yeah, Ken, Lonely is the Hunter and Murder in High Heels.
Okay, well, Murder in High Heels, I can understand to the degree. It was lower on my list, at the bottom, but it was number 7 out of 9. But I thought it has I like the riff in there. I think it's cool. That's what makes it cool. The murder, kind of the spoken type Murder in High Heels, is kind of cheesy kind of thing a little bit. It's different though. But it's enjoyable. It's not a bad song as far as I'm concerned. It's not a bad song. It's not it's not a great song either, but it's not horrible. Now Lonely as a Hunter, I had at 6 on mine. I actually like that song, and I almost put it even higher in my list, because I really always liked Lonely as a Hunter. It's different. It's kind of, to me, it's like a You're All That I Want Part 2 kind of thing. And I like the breakdown that they do. That they do in the minute. That they go into, which is cool. And I also like the little riff they go into when he says, girls love money like bees to honey. That little riff they do with that, da-na-na-na. Anyway, I don't know. I always kind of liked it. It's not the greatest chorus in the world, but I think it's a pretty good song, and it's a very good guitar solo by Bruce Kulick. So it's a good song. It's just I don't think it should be really at 8 or whatever, tied for 8. Julian.
And Lonely as the Hunter, did you talk about that?
I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's forgettable.
Wake up.
No, it's 52 days since I last had a beer, so...
Oh my.
He's enjoying his beer too much.
It'll kick in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Lonely as the Hunter is my least favorite song on the album. I never liked it, day one. I just find it completely turgid. Garbage. Sorry, Bruce.
Jeez.
No, it's like, Die Hard the Hunter was popular, was on the Def Leppard album the year before. Okay, I'm going to have Lonely as the Hunter. And I think Daniel actually raises a really interesting point about Eric Carr and his drumming on these songs. And I think that comes down to the rush Gene was in to get in and out of the studio, that Eric didn't have as much time to get set.
And also, I don't think Gene pays that much attention to drums. Paul probably gave some, tips and tricks to Eric, but Gene just play whatever.
Yeah,
play
that's good. That's good enough.
That's good.
We'll keep it.
Basic.
Whereas Paul would be, nah, do it again. But try this, and then I'm still going to get Schwartzberg into overdub. So I never liked Lonely as the Hunter. I still don't. It's just tempo, lyrics, music. There's not a single element I like about it. And again,
where do you have it?
It's my least favorite.
Least favorite. Okay.
You had it on the bottom.
Yeah, it is at the bottom. Now, Murder in High Heels, I do like, and that's in 5th place for me. So that's why it's ranked much higher than it otherwise would be with the way you two have savaged it. Because I do like it. Musically, I love it. Lyrically, there are bits and pieces. Yeah, it's not really great. It's, again, a little bit of the idiom recycling machine. But it's also a great title, and it does a better job of fulfilling that title with the song but it's the music. It's got kind of everything that you, Daniel, said you didn't like about it. I do.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it kind of gets my shoulder. I mean, it's like almost like R&B metal in a way. You know, so
Yeah.
so that's it. I'm guilty. I have a Gene Simmons song ranked number 5 on Animalize ranking. There we go. And I feel no shame for that. So let's move on. Let's move on rapidly into 6th place with 12 points. Get All You Can Take, or Don't Get All You Can Take. Daniel, your thoughts on that song?
Well, I've always said that Paul had great songs on Animalize, but this is the only one that's subpar to me. And once again, mostly because I really don't care for the main riff. And also the whiny voice that Paul uses in this one, on the chorus and on the verse as well. Eyes wide open, tell me what do you see? What the hell are you doing, Paul? You can sing. Don't sound like a whiner. And at times it kind of reminds me of my least favorite on Creatures of the Night. You know, there's a song on there with a riff that's pretty similar. I don't care for that riff either. And the vocals are kind of whiny, and that's Keep Me Coming, a way better song, but it's kind of similar. And I just don't like this one. I actually had this second to last. And the solo only adds noise to the song. When I listened through this album today, it came to me that I don't really like a lot of Mark St. John's solos on this one, and I don't really care for Bruce's either. It's like he's trying to be Mark St. John, and it just doesn't work for me. But there's one thing I like about Mark St. John's guitar playing, and that's especially when he does something on the intros or the outros of the songs. Then it fits very good. But the solos, as Ken mentioned previously, it's very 84, so to speak, you know, noodling and lacks melody. And Get All You Can Take, Paul's worst song on this album, and I had it in 8th place, way below a few of Gene's.
Yeah, Paul doing his Led Zeppelin practice session on this one. Ken?
Well, I like this. It's always been one of my favorite kind of songs on the album. It's not my favorite, but I had it 4 on my list. I like it. It was different. I think this is the first album where Kiss, you know, swears on the album. They started the swearing bit with, you know, the Burn Rich Burn, and this one too. They used the F word, I think, right? So
what fucking difference does it make?
Exactly. I was like, oh, I was surprised, you know, to hear that coming out of Kiss, because they never did that because they didn't want to upset the masses and the little, you know, those younger kids back when they were in makeup. But I like the song. I like how it goes from, there's two different types of verses that happen at the beginning of the song, and then it switches up another set of verses, but it's different. It's different music, different melody in there, and then it kicks into the, you know, you got to get all you can take. I enjoy it. The whining part, yeah, I can see what you're saying. He's kind of, you know, trying to reach the higher echelon in his voice, where I'd rather he didn't do that. You know, I like his natural voice when he sings, but I like the song. I think it's a good song, and it's different. It's not your standard.
Sure, it's different.
It's different. It's not your standard, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, you know, put together a song. It doesn't sound like some of the other things that he normally writes.
Yeah, so in the 70s, you didn't want to annoy the parents or the kids wouldn't buy
Exactly.
the albums in the 80s, you did
I
want
swear.
to annoy the parents so that the kids would buy your albums, and that's a good illustration of why, what fucking difference does it make starts,
Yeah, Kiss tried to be so dangerous, but I remember during the convention, the Unplugged session, Unplugged 95, you remember Domino had that line, "She got me by the balls," but they quickly changed that one to
Got to have it all.
to not get MTV to get them
Yeah,
off their back,
yeah.
so they weren't really that dangerous.
Yeah.
What would MTV in 1985 have made of Cardi B? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they'd have no idea because they don't know what music is now. So, all right. So moving on into actually, I didn't say anything about this other than there are two Paul songs I don't like on this album. This is one of them. They're just again, they're the tempo, and they're just like I criticize Gene as being full of his one-liners. Well, Get All You Can Take is full of Paul's kind of one-liners. All right, so moving on into fifth place, middle of the pack on 15 points. I'm very, very disappointed by this. Under the Gun. Daniel, you rate it, so...
Yeah, I've always liked Under the Gun from day one. From the first time I heard the album, I liked this one. It's the standard fast Paul song that was on the albums during the 80s. And I think Mark maybe wouldn't care for this one because he seems to not like these fast Kiss songs, but I always liked them. And this is a great example of Eric Carr being Eric Carr, playing awesome with variation, with punch, kicking the shit out of his drums, and very Eric Carr-like variations on the drums. And that was one thing that I liked immediately about Kiss. Putting on Asylum, hearing King of the Mountain, it starts with the drums, and the drums are so fun through that song. And then putting on Animalize, and the same thing goes for the first song on here. And Under the Gun has great Eric Carr drums. And this is another song that I kind of resembles one song on Creatures, at least at times. I think the main riff makes me think of the title track of Creatures of the Night, the chugga chugga guitars, and there are some fun parts in this one, that when they do the choir singing, take aim and fire and all that stuff, and the ending is cool. And this is an ending where Mark St. John's playing fits very good. So I think it's good from start to ending, and it's very energetic, and I think it worked well live on Animalize Live Uncensored, and also they kept it through the Hot in the Shade tour as well. So I think it's a real good song. I had it in third place actually.
My second favorite song on the album. D.A., and again, the Creatures of the Night, reminiscent riffing, the epic Eric Carr call-outs, fire,
very cool.
Which I like songs where they scream fire, being a European, hard not to. Great song. I mean, really, I cannot hear this song enough, and listening to the demo or the the studio work tapes of where they left that section at the end for Mark to work on getting that little noodly bit in. You did from the bed track of just the metronome, tick 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 tick, and then Eric Carr's drums. Again, it's all about Eric Carr's drumming. The guitar performance is absolutely fantastic as well. It really is driving. It's probably the best illustration of Kiss doing mid-'80s standard metal well. It really fits in with kind of the Dawkins or the Rats, though not with a similar guitar tone to Warren and George Lynch, but also very good tone in itself. So great song, but Eric Carr screaming fire is just really nice. Ken.
And now we'll see why it isn't in the top 3. Let's hear it, Ken.
Ken.
Yeah, because it was number 8 on my list.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, that's because you know what they're trying to reach. You know, Paul did this, like you said, a few albums. You know, Give Me More maybe, and this song and a couple other ones.
I'm
Where,
alive, maybe.
yeah, that's another one. That's the other one. That's kind of falls low on that list for the other album. So yeah, this is too much of a reach. This is again, yeah, Paul trying to follow the trend, and he tried it a couple times, and I don't get it. You know, just stick to what you're best at. So to me, yeah, they play well. It's done well, but it seems like it's just too much of a copy of some other, you know, band, like you said, Julian. There's, you know, Dokken or whoever, Iron Maiden, whatever, trying to go for that kind of speed metal or whatever you want to call it. So I never really cared for it. It's fine. It's, you know, decent, but to me, that's not Kiss. That song is not Kiss to me. You know, stick to what you do best, and don't try to follow the trend, which they, you know, did now and then. So it's low on my list.
So, Kiss, stay in your lane. So
Stay in your
saith the
lane.
voice of reason.
Stay in your lane. But
Well,
you
they
know,
left.
Eric Carr, like you said,
They
Eric Carr
left
is
the
great.
lane in
So.
'79
Yeah, they got out of the
already.
lane.
They
Yeah.
never were the lane. They were the highway. Oh wait,
There you
hit
go.
the highway. All right. So moving on rapidly into fourth place on 16 points, "Thrills in the Night," which is my least favorite Paul song on this album. I have it in 8th place. I have never liked this Paul composition. I find it slow, turgid. I don't like his vocal phrasing in any way. I do like the lyrics, oddly enough, but it's just the tempo of the song I just find to be dirgish and just too slow, too low on the vocal, and just very, very boring. Daniel, your thoughts on "Thrills in the Night"?
Yeah, they don't really have a ballad on this album. This is the closest thing. To me, Thrills in the Night was like an early version of Hide Your Heart, you know, somewhere in between Heaven and Hell, no, somewhere in between a ballad and a rocker. And at times, drums can get a bit boring on ballads. But once again, Eric Carr doesn't it doesn't keep doing the same beat, boring bass drum snare. He varies it on this song. He uses the hi-hat a whole lot and does, I don't know how you say it, 16s on the hi-hat, and I think it really works. The only thing I think is a real downer on this one is the solo once again. It's a bit too much. I would have liked to see maybe Paul Stanley doing the solo to this one, creating something in the vein of A World Without Heroes or the beginning of that song on Rock and Roll Over where he played the first part of the solo. So I think it's a good song. And once again, watching Animalize live uncensored, it fit in well with the other songs, and I think it was a pretty good song. So for me, it was number 4, just behind Under the Gun.
Oh, for Ken, it was
Yes.
number 2. So come to the defense of Mr. Stanley, please, voice of reason.
Yeah, I thought it was a great one. It's a great, different song. Yeah, it's kind of like a power ballad, I guess, right? To a degree, a little bit heavier power ballad, but I like the riff in all the verses. Very different for Paul to write something like that, and maybe it has to do with his co-writer, Jean Beauvoir. Maybe it has to do with it. But yeah, I think it's cool. It has a great lead into the chorus, and it's kind of catchy. I'm surprised it wasn't. I think they wanted to, was a second single. I think it was. I'm kind of almost surprised it didn't make it as a hit, but maybe they didn't promote it enough. But I like it. I think it's a great riff, different, but it's catchy enough to be, possibly a hit. But I guess it never really made it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the video didn't make it either. They were supposed to do some video where they were dressed as
Well,
mobsters and stuff.
they literally didn't make it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just
They got all
ended
dressed
just
up for
compiling some live footage which is unfortunate. It would have been great had they done a proper video for it.
Well, yeah, especially with the title. They could have had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
In the mid-'80s. Whether or not it would have been shown would have been a different matter. All right, moving on into third place, and Mr. Gene Simmons. You get a bronze medal in third place on 18 points. Burn, bitch, burn. Ken, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, I've always loved the song. Not maybe lyrically, so but the sound, the cool riff in it was very, very, different. Not, so much different. Gene seems to come up with some cool riffs. Sometimes it's just incomplete songs that the riffs don't fit into. But this one, I do like it. I guess, I think he could have probably done something with the lyrics. This is another one of those, like Daniel was saying about the lyrics that he came up with, out of frying pan into the fire, these cliches and stuff like that, that he did. But the chorus is not the greatest, but I think the riff and song musically kind of overtakes the lyrics and makes it a good, memorable song for me. I never skip it. I always like to hear it.
Daniel, it's right in the middle of your listing, so while I grab a final beer, why don't you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Number 5 on my list, by far my favorite Gene song on the album. And it's my favorite riff, as you said, Gene. No, Gene. Ken, as you said. It's a really cool riff. And I also enjoyed the Gene vocals on this one. It kind of made me think of Lick It Up a little bit. Vocals in the vein of Fits Like a Glove or something like that, or Not for the Innocent. I mean, yeah, so he's like singing real well on this one, sounding angry, sounding like the demon character. And I always like Gene songs when he sounds like the character. So that's a high note on this song. And there are some variation on this song. It's not just the same old thing going through. I kind of like it when they stop the music and Gene says with his dark voice, "So just burn," stuff like that. Yeah. The one complaint I have about this one, and once again, I think it's because it was rushed. Imagine if Eric Carr would have played something like he did on, I've Had Enough, Into the Fire, or Under the Gun on this one. It could really have pushed it all the way to being a great song. But if you listen again to the song and listen to the drums, it's just a standard beat throughout the song. And that's the big downer on this one. But other than that, and the lyrics, of course. But other than that, I think this is a good Gene Simmons song.
Other than unfortunate logs and fireplaces.
Yeah.
I
well,
think
at least he tried something by himself. I don't think that's in the English dictionary, but all the other stuff, you bit off more than you can chew. Anyway, you slice it, burn your bridges, keep your tails between your legs. I mean,
it's the perfect, log in your fireplace, Christmas song.
It is. It's that KISSmas hit that never was.
KISSmas song. I mean,
there you go. But it is my favorite Gene song on the album, and it probably benefits in some way from being the first Gene song on the album. After you have 2 Paul songs at the beginning, this one comes in and you're like, okay, you cringe a little in parts, and then you get the other 3 and you're like, okay, that one's much better than the other 3. I'm going to stick with that. But musically, I really like it. It's a powerful musical track, and I agree with Daniel that if it had a better drum, part, a more, a better captured drum essence, it could be something else. And, the chorus is what it is. I'm not sure what on earth it means, but it sure sounds bad. And he sure sings like not for the innocent. He's in character, so he's really serious about it as well. So it must be good. Yeah, I'm convinced. I still am to this day, 35 years later. Yeah. I do enjoy it. I was singing it in the car on the way back today. I'm just like,
with the window open, right?
No, I just stopped and said, "What on earth are you doing, you idiot?" Singing along to that song. Well, you know what? Made me happy for a moment. So let's get into the top two here. And I'm going to give a recap of everything else because it's pretty clear which ones are the top. In 9th place, While the City Sleeps. In 8th place, Lonely is the Hunter. In 7th place, Murder in High Heels. That'll be my Ace Frehley album arriving. In 6th place, Get All You Can Take. In 5th, Under the Gun. In 4th, Thrills in the Night. In 3rd, Burn Bitch Burn. In 2nd, on 21 points, Heaven's on Fire. And I wish we could have done a Queen, all three of us doing that intro warble of Paul's, his little vocal warm-up, but we're not going to be able to. Let's see, who had it as their favorite? Daniel, it was your number one song on the album.
Yeah, actually, those two songs that you mentioned are, head and shoulders over the rest, I think. They're just... I'd give them 10 stars out of 10, both of them. Heaven's on Fire, you've heard it so many times, you might have gotten a little bit tired of it, but I never get tired of it. It was my introduction to Kiss, and I still think it's one of my favorite songs to this day. And, everybody knows about Heaven's on Fire, and especially over here, I think it brought a whole lot of Kiss fans from Scandinavia into the Kiss army. When you speak to other Kiss fans over here, they always mention Heaven's on Fire because it was huge over here. Still to this day, I think that's the most recognized Kiss song over here. And it's not much to talk about. I think it's perfect from start to finish. It's a simple one. But Lick It Up was simple as well. So I think it's a continuation of the Lick It Up song, sort of. He found the formula that worked and continued it. And it's always fun to see Desmond Child's titles. He always mixes, not always, but often, something bad with something good in the title. You have heaven and you have fire, which is like hell. He always does that a lot. You give love a bad name. Dude looks like a lady. Bad medicine. I hate myself for loving you, Joe and Yet. So that's an old trick of his. I always enjoy it when he uses that trick. But great song.
Love that Joan Jett album, by the way. Yeah. Heaven's on Fire. It's just impossible. I love that guitar. I love that video, as dorky as it is. His hologram. I can't remember the brand of the guitar, but the song is fantastic. I think it's way better than Lick It Up. Lick It Up's just like so slow, but this is like fire and passion and great song. Ken, it's the middle of the pack for you.
Middle of the pack, and I think part of the reason is, like Daniel said, it's maybe I've gotten sick of it, and I'd rather hear some of these other songs first in front of it. Because maybe I haven't heard them and gotten tired of them at all. But yeah, it was kind of to me, I think it gets less points for me because one of the reasons is it was another attempt to try to write another Lick It Up type song. It was too obvious to me. Though, again, I love the song. It's just I'm putting it in there because I'm more tired of it than anything else. I obviously really enjoyed it when it first came out. I thought it was, great, just a fantastic song. So, but again, just these days, it falls down a little bit for me because I want to hear these other ones first. But yeah, great song. It's just in the middle of the pack on mine.
Yeah, fair enough. When I did the intro while screaming in the car today, all 4 windows rolled down simultaneously. Won't do that again. All right, in number one.
What's wrong with that guy?
It's clearly I've had enough, Into the Fire. I think this is one of the very best lead-off tracks off a Kiss album. I actually do like it more than Creatures of the Night as a lead-off track, as a song. It again, from the first time I heard it, it was everything I needed on a Kiss album to set the tone that would not be fulfilled throughout the album, but it sure laid down a gauntlet that couldn't really be matched. Daniel, you had this as your second favorite.
Yeah, brilliant song, and as you said, a brilliant opener of the album. Standard Kiss lyrics, although it's kind of reminds me of the Twisted Sister hit from the same year. You know, We're Not Gonna Take It, but with a bit more edge to it. Strong ending as well as a strong beginning. I mean, it's very very planned, very carefully done. I mean, every part seems to have been dealt with a lot of thoughts and trying out stuff, and it's like the opposite of the worst Gene songs on the album. Just a brilliant piece of work, and interesting drums, and strong main riff. So just a really, really good song. I like it a lot.
Yeah, jagged and biting. It's a tough song. Ken, it's your favorite.
Yeah, I think it's like you. It's one of their best album lead-off songs of their many albums, and they it's proper. I mean, I can see this fitting on any other place of the album than being the lead-off song. It's kind of like how Paul does his uplifting songs. It's kind of like that. It's like a fighting back song. I've had enough. I'm gonna show you kind of song. So it's very cool. Great lyrics. Great chorus. I like the bridge. When he's saying wishing and hoping. Won't get you nothing, praying and scheming. Yeah, no time for dreaming. I've got the power, right? This is the hour now, and he goes in, woo, to his falsetto or scream, it's great song, great lead up, great solo on it too. Actually, solo's really, really good. So happy with that one. That's why it's number one.
But I don't think it works so well live. I think it was a little bit tougher to perform than...
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, much like King of the Mountain.
It's hard to
play live, I think.
Did they play it on the Animalize?
Yeah, they played it
in
once
Europe.
Or twice.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they
England.
played it. They never played it in the U.S.?
I don't think so.
Early
I
on,
remember.
I think... When did they start the tour? In November 84. Pennsylvania, I think.
They probably stopped before I saw them in Oakland or whatever.
Yeah, because I think it's Ipswich. I can't remember which British show, or Brighton. I mean, they had Burn Bitch Burn.
Oh, really?
A bunch of songs that only got one outing, or two songs that only had one performance. I don't have my website open, and I don't know all this shit by the top of my head, but a lot of this album got performed, but a lot of it clearly did not work live, and a lot of it clearly didn't work with the rest of the material. So at that point, you got Bruce, which I think is really fascinating, because then you get to hear his interpretations of these songs wholly, as he was then by de facto the guitarist in the band. So it's really cool from that point of view. So I'd love to hear some additional soundboards, from early on in the tour, when a lot more of the album was in the set than later on. Thrills in the Night I didn't think worked live. Heavens on Fire works fantastically. Under the Gun obviously did, as it stuck in the set, but there you go. So I have no idea we've ever talked, in depth. I don't go back and look at our episodes and see if we've talked about it. It's what we feel like talking about this week, or what one of us suggests that we talk about. And as an opportunity to get Daniel on the show outside of school time, when you can stay up late with the boys. Thank you for the suggestion, because it's great to touch on the 80s. It's too easy to talk about 70s this, 70s that, or, current stuff. The 80s is a neglected era, And I've enjoyed the challenge of just listening to this album quite a few times over the past week since we decided to make this the episode. So when we talk about logs and fireplaces, this is your very Merry KISSmas episode from the KissFAQ crew. We appreciate you supporting us all year long and listening to our show.
Yeah.
We look forward to your comments about this album and how one or the other of us is absolutely wrong with our opinion. Well, if that's the case, share your opinion, because we'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on this album. So for now, from Ken, from Daniel, myself, and the rest of the KissFAQ team, Merry KISSmas, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final, there are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.